I prayed some time ago and I said, Lord, I want more of you. Is that a bad prayer point? More of you. Oh my God. And I prayed like that for months with fasting. You know? For months with fasting. You know the first thing that happened? I was expecting that, okay, maybe more of God, angelic visitations, deep revelations, and all of that. That God would just be showing up everywhere. But the only thing that changed, nothing changed. But the only thing that changed was that the environment became hostile. Now you want to connect a prayer of more of you with a hostile environment. Doesn't sound reasonable. Now, I was staying with a particular family, my relatives in that city. And they had a child that was 1 year or 2 years old. A child that was still learning how to talk. And then the child will now come into my room and say, is this your house? Go to your house now. Why are you here now? Then you will know that somebody more intelligent was feeding the child with the words. Oh. All right? And I went to preach one time in Zaria. I came back to that city. And when I came back, the meeting I went for was a mighty meeting, wonderful meeting. And I went to the office. The devil was waiting for me there. Stirred up all kinds of stuff on Monday morning. Then I came back again. I was so hot. And I was trying to pray, but I didn't have the capacity. Because the hot had disconnected me from the line. A man that is discouraged cannot hear God. You must understand that. If you are discouraged, discouragement is like an insulation. Now it brings about a temporary disconnection from God. Except that discouragement is taken away, you are cut off. Now when I was in that mood, suddenly, because the door to my room had no lock, if you push it hard enough, it will slip open. And when it slips open, it has a noise. And I was trying to focus on the Lord, and then I heard, is this your house? Go to your house now. Now, if you are not someone that takes time to evaluate, you will use a knife and kill that child. But you may not understand that it was your prayer that made God to allow turbulence in the environment. See there talks about being able to connect your circumstances with your requests, with your dealings with God. A carnal man will not connect those circumstances to his dealings with God because it doesn't follow. How on earth can you contain or connect that situation of hostility? And that was just one of the strands of the situation. There were also many funny aspects of that situation. Because the person that was feeding the child with those words was also passing some side comments here and there just to make the place uncomfortable for me. Meanwhile, God had revealed to me that what he wanted me to do in that season was in that locality. And the accommodation I had in that locality was that place. That means there was nothing I could do about changing that accommodation. It was not in my hands, all right? Do you understand that now? I had to be there. And now that I had to be there, there was a circumstance that I could not change that was there. You need to be a spiritual man to see the connection. That is your spiritual activity that is giving rise to this situation here. I was asking for more of God. I was beginning to perforate the spiritual atmosphere that was covered by demonic forces and powers. And the demonic influences were touched they were troubled. Then they came into my habitat and began to stir some stuff. Meanwhile, God knew that the things that they were stirring was going to bring me in the long run to that point where I have more of God. So the C we are talking about there is to be able to connect circumstances and situations to your dealings with God. Because it is so possible for you to... Am I helping you? I know we have grown small. That's why I'm bringing this issue. As far as I'm concerned, the devil does not influence me. That's me. That's what I believe. The devil can operate in the circumstances. But I know that in order for the devil to operate, the Lord allowed him. Okay? There are circumstances also that I know that this trespass, God is expecting me to deal with the devil. Alright? I'm not saying that everything wrong is God that allowed. But I'm talking about a situation that you pray about, it doesn't change. You fast about it, it doesn't change. People agree with you, it doesn't change in that moment. There is something about government that is at work in that situation. There is something about the position of God about the situation that will not make it change just yet. You get it? Oh, you are not getting it. Something about the government of God that is attached to it. Then if you see a situation like that, you need to go back to God and find out the connection. When I began to grow in God, my grades in the university began to fall. I prayed on it, I fasted, it didn't change. I anointed it, it didn't change. Well, I said, Lord, I accept, no problem. Let's still go on. I must not understand everything. Years later, God told me that I knew, but He reminded me that my pride was connected to my academic excellence. And so, two of them cannot exist together. It's either He takes my pride away, or He takes the call away. Because my call could not survive in a habitat of pride. You get it? So since the call was more in His interest, so the grace had to go so that the pride will not have any anchor to hold. You see, so the government of God was at work in that situation. It didn't seem like a good situation to me, but you see, it was the Lord that allowed it to happen so. And if you are not a sensitive person, you will not see the hand of the Lord in the contrary situation. You get it? So in order for you to make progress and to receive the ministry of the Spirit of Truth in its full scope, you must be able to see Him operating through circumstances that you may not choose, circumstances that you may not want. But you see, when you begin to move with God, irrespective of your circumstances, it means you have, by an act of your will, decided to connect with God and to partake in the fellowship of the sufferings that has to do with everyone that is an ambassador of Christ. That kind of resolve is what leads to higher ranking in the Spirit. You do get that? That situation went on. The situation went on. It went on. And you see, there are some situations that come close enough that it comes as close as your nose. When you see a situation like that, that is so close to you, it's around you. First of all, I need you to understand that what God wants to achieve first and foremost, many other things He may want to achieve, but first and foremost, He wants to do something on your character. When the thing is close like that, you can't run away from it. You sit back, it 2 steps, the thing shifts 3 steps, and it's always under your nose. When you see it like that, you must understand that God wants to work on your character. That there's a dimension of His operation that you will not enter into if some character issues are not dealt with, and some fruits of the Spirit do not begin to, some dimensions of the fruit of the Spirit doesn't begin to manifest, you will not be ushered into that realm. And so as far as God is concerned, it is profitable for you to go through that situation. Because He's a custodian of the just scales of the Spirit and the balances. When He weighed the situation and weighed the outcome of the situation, He now judged that it was better for you to suffer in this present time in view of the glory that will be revealed in you.